We'll call the meeting to order. Roll call. Mark Goldman.
Tom Elliott.
Tom Elliott. Ron Cianic. All right.
Kyle Riefler,
And
present.
Kyle. All right. And so we need to approve the agenda. Everybody look at the agenda. So we're going to approve the minutes and discuss the budget and any other general business. Can I get a motion?
I move to accept the previous minutes.
I second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 3-0. I need approval of the Citizens Advisory Committee meeting minutes for February 22nd, 2023.
I request just one amendment. And it's pretty petty, but it's, I only need one T in my name, so committee members, double T is one T. Tom Elliott.
Oh, I did bad. I spelled you wrong here.
Oh, you did that?
No, I just did.
Oh, no.
Tom
I don't know who prepares these. Rose?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
This is the clerk.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it does have two.
Well, you know, it's funny, the council member uses two,
Oh.
and I use one, and one's the rare one, you know, I'm always the odd guy, so.
Okay, so I made a note of that. Other than that, a motion with that correction.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, so now we'll move into the 2024-2025 budget. And I'll turn it over to Kyle.
Okay. Do you want me to just run through generally what changed from last year? Do you want me to do a complete overview of the budget? How do we?
What do you guys want?
I'm fine with just,
And
you,
then take questions. And
yeah, take the highlights that you
Sure.
think are significant.
Okay.
Because, you know, they're numbers that, you know, for the most part are cut and dried.
Well,
Okay.
you're right. I think if we look at page,
Page by page.
page 9.
Okay. Let me just do the
Oh,
schedule
yeah,
quick,
yeah,
just as an
absolutely,
update.
absolutely.
On page 7, I just want to go over that we gave the city council first drafts of the prepared budget in the month of May, late May. And then I did one-on-one meetings with each of them, just running through any concerns, going over highlights. And then they officially had their first meeting June 3rd, where we gave them paper copies if they wanted them. And I gave some actually in the meetings. And then our first budget workshop was June 15th. It was a Monday. That one went relatively quick. There's very few changes, which I'll go over. Sorry, June 17th. I was looking at July. And then we had another regular meeting where none of the budget was discussed, but I made the updates, and we just had the second budget workshop on July 15th. And then at that meeting, we also adopted the tentative millage rate. So what happens is, at the time, late May, it's usually June 1st, but we got it late May. At the time of the one-on-one meetings, I had the estimated taxable value, which is usually conservative, but like very close. And it was, I believe that was 10.59, I don't have that in front of me. But when we got the official, which was it was actually late June, but we put it July 1st here, which was the taxable value official, but the property appraiser, we got the number 10.55% property value increase. And they gave us the calculations of an increase to our revenue for ad valorem tax of that's the wrong number. At the existing rate, it would be, sorry, I don't have that in front of me, from last year. Things like that. let me come back to that number.
Is that page 11, the 1,825?
That is the total revenue, but I was wondering.
Well, on
the
on
change.
page 9, you
Oh, the
have,
changes, it was only in the 10,000s. But it was still a good increase. And when we adopted the tentative, I made the recommendation of sticking at our current millage rate, which is 2.0394. And the city council all unanimously agreed that that was a good idea because there was concern about, we've seen growth, but we have seen some sales drop off or values. So there's concern that we may not always be as fortunate to have this. So they thought, because we keep reserves and we set a budget, that we're not just spending what we have, that it was in our best interest to keep that millage rate. And then, I will come back to that. Let's flip to page, which would be 15. And if, let me see. If you see the total revenues from last year drop off, that's because we got that major injection from the bond issue that we did. So I just want to point that out because it's a significant change. If it jumped out at you. You know, we've adjusted some of the revenues. This year I've asked the staff to do a reporting on local wedding venues through, you know, government facilities. I think it's, with all the price increasing, I think that we can consider increasing our rentals for the wedding receptions. Because we still book them a lot, like every weekend on wedding season. So I expect those to come up. Everything else is pretty close. One thing we see has been growing is the communication tax income and communication service tax, which we jumped it up 25,000 because we have seen that grow. And that's on page 16, way down.
And that's not anything that you control, right? That's just what?
No, we don't control it, but
Spectrum.
it was said in previous years, we've been trying to get these numbers closer, but conservative where we're not overestimating. But we do try to keep them close. So that's really all the changes in there. If you go department by department, they all stay pretty consistent. I cut out areas that, you know, I just felt that we weren't spending. There's been some adjustments I'll point out in the the public works budget. That one, you're gonna see increase, and that is because we did add an additional staff member. So you're gonna see,
what page is that, please?
sorry, page 28, I was reading. So salaries and wages, you got 10%, which is not typical.
Well, it's because you added buys,
That's because
right?
we added a buy.
Salaries are up, but the CapEx is down, so it's net down for the
Yes,
year.
yeah.
In general. So
Right, but I just wanted to make sure, that, you know, in case you looked at that and you were wondering. And then,
And I saw the sheriff is a 6.9% increase. That's not anything we can control.
okay, so that went, okay, that's a good point. So that went up, and it was originally, it was, I believe, 7.
You have a page for that?
I'm
Sure.
sorry, I gotta get to it myself. Capital improvement, I'm getting too far ahead. All right, law enforcement. Okay, so that,
What page is that?
sorry, page 25.
Yeah.
So that went up, it was like 7.7% I believe this year, and we saw an increase of that last year. And what happened was I sent that out to the council to make them aware. The mayor contacted the sheriff's department to just ask for further explanation. The sheriff himself called the mayor, told him that that is an even increase based on their worksheets and calculations across the board. So Mayor was satisfied with that. In the time period after that, I was digging more into the Bel Air Shore discount, which is part of our calculation.
Sure.
And I was led to believe through past council meetings when Lynn was here that it was calculated based on time the 24/7 deputies spent doing Bel Air Shore activities. After the captain looked into it, talked to finance, he discovered that it never was, that just got misconstrued over time. It never was calculated based on the time spent. It was compared to time spent in meetings and asked questions, but that it was never how finance was doing it. He did tell me originally they calculated it by population, but they felt, I think within the last 3 years, they changed the calculation to land area. So when I got that explanation, I asked, can I see your land area numbers and understand where they came from? Because I'm like, I need to go explain it. So in that process, while I was waiting, I did like my own calculations using, the county GIS that they have online and Google, which is pretty accurate too. And I didn't get the same numbers. So I sent them to the captain and they ran their calculations and found it was not right. So what that turned out was almost doubling our discount amount. And I believe where the calculation, they didn't say specifically, but I think they were counting all our submerged land parcels instead of just the land. And I was trying to make sense of it, but I couldn't. So that worked out well for us in this year. 'Cause it really lowered our percent increase by relatively like just over 2 instead of 7.
Really?
Yeah. So that worked out well.
So
I can't say for certain how everything.
So that's factored into
Internals
this.
like 7.1 to 6.9, or?
I can maybe find my emails. I don't have that.
That's all right.
Sheriff's been watching too many sci-fi movies.
That's all right. That's
Okay.
fine.
I will
make a note.
get these numbers. So yeah, that was good, but like I said, we're in the process of negotiating a new interlocal agreement with Bel Air Shore. And I can't say beyond this year if we're gonna stay the way it's been going. So we could expect next year to be paying the difference of whatever increase and the full discount that we used to get. But I've reached out to City Manager Largo, sent him information, sent him what our numbers could be if we were gonna be at the full rating of what they charge for a 24/7 deputy. And, second follow-up email, he said he was gonna get back with his police chief to try and give me a number to see if it was something they could work with. That was at the request of council. They wanted-
So how does
To
that,
actually provide,
They'll provide it at a better rate than,
I thought it had to be a contiguous, if it wasn't a county, it had to be a contiguous city like Bel Air or the city of Clearwater.
I never heard that. Do you know where that came from? Is that a statute?
I thought that was something Lynn said, so.
I mean, you only got the edge of Largo is pretty close.
Yeah, that's
Clearwater
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Beach and
the south side of the causeway is Largo.
Yeah. So I can have Randy check that as far as legal.
Might want to just have Randy double check that,
Yeah.
and if we need to,
Oh, it's not-
I mean, I'd be happy to get-
it's glass.
I'd be happy to talk to Rick Doyle, but Bel Air, chief of police.
If
He
you
lives-
know him, I mean,
he lives in-
I can give you the number that we could possibly be paying, so he's got something to look at.
I can introduce you if you,
Okay.
if this council wants to go through a proposition, kind of a rough and dirty proposal. Does that allow, I know that, like, the biggest part of this expense, Tom, I don't know if you,
no, I don't.
is the,
Insurance.
it's insurance, but it's also to have access to 911. Like, just $250,000 of this fee is for 911. So if we said, we're not gonna have the sheriff, Bel Air Beach residents can't call 911.
And that's a phone company set expense.
There's Largo doesn't.
Well, Largo's probably got they probably have access, their
Oh,
fee
yeah,
would probably
separate.
include 911. But I just remember from talking to Lynn in years past that,
That's a good idea.
3 years ago,
That's a good point.
$250,000 of that fee was just for 911. Because you sit back and go, we're paying a
20,
you got 3 people that have to run a shift, right? So you got
Right.
3, you run a 24-hour shift. So
Yeah.
if each deputy's $80,000, that's 240. Then you got to bake in benefits and everything else, and then
Right.
vehicles, and then you have access to all the, if we need SWAT, we need all this other stuff. So
Right.
all that.
And that could be, I got the feeling that possibly Largo Police wasn't very excited. I don't know, but I just wanted to at least get maybe just a cursory review of what they think, because I haven't got official feedback. The city manager told me that it was felt that our rate was pretty good, but they were looking at last year's contract, because they made a records request for last year, and it has come up a lot from last year, and if we lose our discount, it'll come up a lot more. So it's still something with that to have considered if that's the situation for next year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we pay, we're budgeting 644. What does Bel Air Shore pay? About a third of
I'm
that?
gonna get that right now. I gotta get my online email, because my iPad one goes back so far.
So the figure we see is the one that's discounted.
Yes.
Gotcha, okay. So how does that work?
the 644 is discounted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bel Air Shore gets billed separately, or we bill them? They get billed separately?
They have a separate agreement. They work it out on a worksheet, but the way it's worked out is they give the cost that they give every city for a full-time deputy with a car and all those costs.
Right.
And then they take that ratio and they subtract the discount that they
Okay.
calculate. And then they prepare separate agreements.
Okay.
So, download this.
So it went up almost $100,000.
Okay.
No.
If I'm reading it.
So,
39.
so our current percent increase from last year is
Or 41.
2.67.
Oh, 6 to
I'm sorry.
So what Bel Air Shore, the credit, they were paying half this. Let me get the previous worksheet. So right now they're giving us the discount of $63,384. But it was closer to 30 something that they were getting before they recalculated. I don't know if they went and are charging them more this year or if they're gonna charge them more.
So Bel Air Shore
next
pays
year.
64,000?
I can't say that if that's gonna be their charge this year, because I don't know what they worked out with them. I know that the captain said he had to tell them that they needed to pay more,
Yeah.
but I don't know how they reacted and what was discussed.
I see.
I don't know.
Well,
So
they're sort
644 doesn't include the discount.
That's just ours.
Okay.
That's
Just ours only.
That's the share of taking Bel Air Beach and Bel Air Shore and discounting just to the Bel Air Beach value or cost.
so,
So yeah, that's 31,000 more than last year's budget.
I see that.
But you're right, we're in 2 years, it's up $100,000. It's up
And that's that number.
20%,
So our original worksheet.
2 years.
Pull it up right now.
Pretty close.
Down.
Well, it was probably a bargain.
Well,
So their
given the
original worksheet,
cost of a police
ours went up
force, yeah.
7.07% from last year, and the discount we got from Bel Air Shore was 37,332. So that's the difference.
so they're hiring more people to cover all these other cities is what it's come down to, and that comes at a cost.
I can email you guys these worksheets. They
That's
have
all right, I don't need to see
they have
it.
the cost per deputy, a deputy by post calculation. But then they're
No, I
factoring in code, as code enforcement has requested, but they got vehicle cost, supervision, so there's a certain supervision, equipment, allocated indirect costs, and then they give a total for supervision, equipment, and the allocated indirect cost, which I think would be insurance. and then they give a total. Unless the deputy insurance is factored, they don't break down, but so the deputy for, 4 shift deputies, and it's got a relief factor factored in, and then the cost per deputy, I guess for their normal shift is 122,730. That's per deputy. So that price alone comes to 589,104. Now I don't know if that 911's factored into
That's
the
that's
deputy.
fully loaded, yeah. I mean, the deputies are making probably 85.
Yeah, no, they're definitely not making that, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you going through that, but
Sure.
that's always been a usage in retrospect, back when we had our own police force, and it was the
Oh, we
pension.
did.
The pension plan was getting costly, and I think when we first went to the sheriff, it was a $300,000 expense. So that's probably been, I've been here 25 years,
That number sounds
but
familiar.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and then the increase that we are getting in ad valorem with the property value increase is 85,412. Oh wait, no, that's the big number again. Thought it was on this.
I got at Valorem at 167.
I guess you didn't have it on there. That might be right.
On page 16.
Yeah, at the bottom. Estimated increase, okay, because she calculates it on a 96% collection rate because they calculate everyone does the early payment, even though that doesn't happen. So yeah, 167,575
Yeah.
in revenue.
Did anybody have any other questions relative to?
So the
individual?
Total, oh, that's a code enforcement budget. I thought the sheriff was, is this the salary person?
That's
Code
the
enforcement?
as needed basis at an hourly rate.
Oh, okay. Contractual services and professional services make up the 40,000. What's the difference?
If you go to your detailed budget, do you guys get that, the blue copy is separate?
Is it on a separate
Got
page?
numbers on it, yeah. So it's blue, looks like this, and if you go to 23 of that
I
packet,
didn't get that.
so that includes the budget for the contractual services from the sheriff, code enforcement deputy. And that's budgeted at 37,000. And then it also includes, which your professional services is your special magistrate fees for having code hearings. So that's in that budget, within that's 3,000, so the total budget is 40,000.
Up 2,000 from last year.
2,000, yes, the contractual for the deputy.
The magistrate is 30,000?
Well, the overall budget, total code
3,000.
enforcement budget.
3,000.
It's 40.
Yeah, so 37 for the deputy, 12 hours a week,
Oh, 30, okay, got it.
and then 3,000 for a magistrate.
Okay.
Last year we budgeted 38,000, this year we're budgeting 40. So we did, last year was a big change where we reduced from 20 hours to 15 or,
I believe that reduction, it was talked about, but I think that did not get reduced, so that's why you don't see it.
okay.
Yeah, because the calculation number I had did not follow through. We did the 12 hours. Actually, we're gonna end up less because he's taking vacation weeks. So there are weeks that we didn't pay him. And we just filled in.
Okay.
So back to page 23 of the original budget.
The IT,
Yes. You're gonna see an increase of computer software from the 6,000 to 11,400. That is for public works software. I brought it to the council. We got the one-time setup fee down. It was a couple thousand and change, then we got it down to 1,200 total, and then an annual fee. So every year, we'll expect $3,600 in software, but we felt that that value was worth it because of capabilities of all the staff. There's no limit on users. All the staff can use it. We can use that for all our work orders. Right now, we're still have the paper work orders and email system. It will give us a lot of benefits as far as our tracking purposes, because if we put all our work through this program, we'll be able to pull reports rather than have to shuffle through paper every time we get a question asked. So I think that that in itself will be a huge benefit, especially when things come up about last time we did this or maintenance questions. I mean, I should be able to get the answers in meetings because I'll have it on my iPad. So I think there's a huge benefit to that. Another positive is I've gotten the GIS data from the previous online-based software we're using, which was Canadian TotalPave, which we did for our street indexing. But this software also includes street indexing and a stormwater maintenance package. So we've been using Excel spreadsheets that we use to form our state required reports. We're gonna do it through this as well.
Great.
So we see that.
So more efficient operation for the city.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's gotten a lot better. This software was a lot more expensive 10, 15 years ago when I was in Oldsmar. Now that everything is just, technology's improved, a lot more companies, I forgot what the number was, but it was a very high in the thousands. Of cities that use this across the country. So it's not like something, they've been in business since the early 2000s.
And is
Really
that,
confident.
is that in the cloud or is it on-prem here?
It's backed up daily in the cloud. At any time, and I can do it, I can request it on a basis, we can get our data to back it up
But
ourselves.
it's on site here. It's on the server here.
I can back it up on a server here, but it's in the cloud.
It's in the cloud, okay.
In
Azure,
Amazon cloud.
AWS, okay.
And they're confident it's security. I mean, the federal government uses it, but
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
we
yeah.
can always do our own measures.
No, that's the best way to go. Because then you can log in from anywhere.
That is a huge benefit.
You can work till midnight if you want.
I like.
And we don't object.
Yeah.
Well, he does work them, but now he won't have to be up till 10.
That's right.
Yeah, and I also like the fact that, again, when Kathy up front or Jennifer gets a report, they're gonna have access to put requests directly into the software instead of a middle person. And we have an approval system, but still, we'll assign it.
Sure.
It just puts it all in one.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
And how often is that updated, that software?
I can ask them.
I mean, you have a sense, every 6 months, every 3 months, or are they?
As far as, minor upgrades versus, I can get their numbers, what version they're on and what their.
So they do
updates typically are.
enhancements and then they do,
It's very customizable. Like, we've already started training, we've already we've already put stuff in and added a bunch of stuff, and I mean, it's
Yeah.
very simple, very easy, very customizable.
good. What's it called?
It's called iWork with a Q.
iWork.
Okay, as far as capital in the general account, the biggest change is the boat that we had in there. We decided at this point,
It sunk?
we don't need the boat. That was my decision, because in the past year, I've rented a boat twice. There's a lot of companies, at one point, we picked one up in Clearwater because we had to go out to the Gulf side, but we also rented one right over the bridge. And we used it to put new signs up and some markers inside. So it's been
A
useful.
lot more
The cost-
efficient than 100,000.
The cost is about $600 every rental, but it's not something we have to do all the time.
Sure.
So I thought that was good.
No, it makes sense. Originally, also was for seawall inspections, but that,
We had discussions with the attorney, and he had opinions on how we did our seawall inspections and
okay.
how, who would be the certified expert that's actually evaluating the seawalls. Like we have seawall guidance like a workbook that we put on the website, and it is in our code, a statement about any kind of failures that have to follow that
Right.
guidance, but
Right.
yeah, it got kind of like, where it wasn't something we didn't want, we did.
Okay, got too awkward, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay,
Now, if it ever becomes like it could be something that we contract a certified professional.
yeah, usually
and
you
have
get
them.
divers to go down and look too, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, that's on the costly side.
Yeah.
If we're doing every seawall. Now, if there ever was one that we were just like, there's no way. Like we could tell, or at least our engineer could tell from pictures that there was a serious concern, then that would be something that I would pursue if it was a danger.
So did we fund the balance for the boat last year, the annual,
We had it,
$20,000.
So it was
it's 5
last
years?
year, and it was 2 year, we got it down to.
Okay,
And it was on the higher side, because we were still looking at a new boat. And then it would have been funded at October 1 this year.
okay, so we're not,
No,
okay.
yeah. So that's it for the general fund. If we go into the capital projects, this includes all the infrastructure revenues, special tax revenue that we get in percentages.
Page number, stuff.
Sorry, page number starts at, it's got green writing, and it starts on page 42 is the cover. And it has the same layout. This is another government fund, but anything that comes in specific as revenue through infrastructure taxes, and the special assessment is in there for our loan for the BEI. The undergrounding.
Yeah, this is penny for Pinellas money in here.
Penny for Pinellas is in here, but nothing, we can transfer money in if needed from the general fund, but nothing comes out of this, because it has to be in this type of account. And then, these are all like infrastructure related projects.
And these are the reserves that we've got ongoing.
And then, if you're not familiar with it, we save money for both bridge repair and bridge replacement. We have two bridges, the 22nd Street Bridge and the Harrison Bridge. We repair it, but we're planning on, at some point, we're gonna need to replace it. And when it gets to that point, we're saving appropriately.
Just don't use the company that,
To the Harrison?
no, the one, go over the bridge, take a right, it's
Oh, yeah, they've been.
Bel Air Bluffs
Harbor
on
Bluffs.
Harbor Bluffs.
They have a
It's
bridge
that
called-
street. So they've been working on it over 2.5 years. And I don't know how many companies started it and failed.
Wow.
And they've been down to one lane with a traffic light for letting people on and off through that one lane for all this time. And no works with it.
this goes across water, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just goes out to
Just
like
a
3
one-
little
one-
fingers. It'd be like the 22nd Street
Right,
Bridge.
it'd be like
Oh, okay.
that. Yeah, can you imagine that, what people would do if they had to wait?
That main original contractor's gotten, I think, blackballed by the state now, because they've done,
I think,
Oh.
they failed.
yeah, they failed, to build other bridges, yeah, they
Okay.
failed
Then-
miserably.
And then there's been all others that have failed?
They've had other projects that they've failed to deliver.
Oh, okay.
Right. And
So are they
this
on their
one's not
second
done.
measure now?
No, I don't even know
Might
if
be
anybody's
third.
working on it now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, I think, I don't think those are on the agenda anytime soon, are they?
No.
Harrison.
no.
Good.
Yeah.
But that's definitely, there's gotta be a learning points. Whether, if that company was just a bad company, but I wonder if there was something that you can learn from.
That would have been City of Largo who would have contracted that.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. That's good to know. Good to be one.
The only thing I saw new was holiday lighting.
Oh, yes.
30,000.
Because
That one's gotta have fun.
Yeah, so that is gonna be for what you see in your Ox Beach, what you see in Largo, those type of pole decorations.
They're lighted or they're
They're
just?
plug-in,
Yeah,
they're
okay.
LED lighting, so they don't draw very much
Yeah.
energy, but
Yeah.
there's been a lot of push from residents that feel like Bel Air Beach looks bad not having lit up holiday decoration versus every other.
We're not Scrooges, is what they're saying.
Yeah, they think our banners are horrible, so.
So,
That's-
and they'll be reusable?
Yes.
Down and put them back up?
Yes, and we have LED, we've been using that tree for, we're on our 5th year now, and we haven't had to replace any bulbs on the tree, and like maybe 2 on the star on top. I don't know if that takes.
Is
a
this
little
down
bit.
here at the corner?
So they're pretty reliable. No, the tree we put right up. front.
Oh, got it,
Yeah.
okay, sorry, yeah.
So,
Nice.
yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. Okay, so we'll go over to stormwater. The stormwater is funded primarily from the stormwater assessment.
So that's starting on page 62.
So 62 is the first page of the numbers. And right now, our assessment's been the same. I think we started, I'd have to check it was either 19 or 20. Started it was with the start of a budget year. And we've kept the same assessment, which it's a bi-monthly, it's billed bi-monthly through Pinellas Utilities. It's 30 bi-monthly for single family and it's 10 per unit for multifamily. Which is 20 bi-monthly they're billed, but it's 10 monthly, 15 monthly for single family. And that's stayed the same. Right now, we've been good at getting through our stormwater projects. If it's just maintenance costs, we're still, able to fund our maintenance calculations, expenses, the operating expenses, and still save money at our current amount, because we have operating expenses totaling at 6947. So that's 116, and then we collect regularly the stormwater curb replacement, which is 50,000 that we save. So if we don't have stormwater system projects, we're still coming in even, or under, I should say. But it's when we have, projects, that's where we have to inject the general fund into this fund.
What was going on with the Valley?
On 14th,
Yeah, one on 25th?
23rd.
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 They say-
So that was the first street that the contractor, with the method they were using, which was similar to what every other past contractor used,
Yeah.
which was, going out there, forming up, using a level. I don't know if the last one on 13th and 12th, I feel like they have more capabilities in their office to do some calculations than this current contractor. But they ran into trouble once we started getting to longer streets with less inlets to work with.
Yeah.
And the method that they're using is to match up with driveways, and they weren't achieving the spec for the valley curve, and they weren't getting the right fall for the drainage. So the 23rd was where we first noticed there was an issue, and they moved down to these southern streets, which we didn't have a problem here because Cowsley Boulevard is so much higher, and there was a lot of room to work.
Yeah.
But then when we got to 14th and 15th, they had the same issue, and it's something that's gonna occur on the rest of the streets. So at that point, that's why we've been on this stop work. The contractor, pulled his guys, and the engineer stepped up because the contractor and the inspector agreed, because the inspector failed the curve on 14th, but they agreed that the only way that this is gonna get done right is if they have exact grade elevations. to
Would
match.
you think with lasers and everything else, they could do that?
I've asked them that, they didn't have the capability, and the way it was laid out and the way the other past projects were done, they didn't have the ability, and the plans they were given didn't give exact elevations. So that's what they requested, the engineer
Yeah, if you don't, I mean, if you give somebody the numbers.
They gave them
Yeah.
survey, but they didn't say an exact methodology of how to do it. And the engineer thought it was possible, and maybe it is by somebody with a higher skill level, but where we ended up with this contractor is they made a request that they need it, and the engineer agreed that that's the only way they're gonna get it done right. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna lay out a whole curb per exact elevation by a surveyor, and then there's gonna be differences in driveways. Past contractors, and they were trying to do is match up with each driveway. We run into a lot of issues if we do that, because driveways are all
Well, I
different.
can tell you on 22nd Street, right across from our house, the whole length of the property across the street is a valley.
It's holding water.
And it holds water all the time.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know what happened, but,
They laid it out level in forms,
yeah.
as opposed to exact
You know,
elevation.
it'll run, it'll move with a big rain, but it never gets, unless it never rains, it always sits with water.
Right. So, yeah, that's where we're at. That's our special meeting on Monday. It's gonna be a change order for the additional surveying, which is the original surveyor who did the surveying of all the streets for the design, the original plans. So it's Ship and Associates, he's been around for a very long time, reliable. But then also, I need council to consider that now, the way we're doing it, we're gonna have to match driveways, which are easy, it's easy to do, because we're not gonna be like more than an inch, we're less than an inch, probably more like a half inch on average. But it's easy to do with concrete, because you can go back 2 feet, you can pour an apron, and it matches the curb.
Gotcha.
But pavers, you know, in some places, they require aprons. Bella Beach is not that way. We've never done it on any other street. And you know, residents do not want their paver driveways having aprons. And I could say,
Yeah.
I think that is the way to go, but I need the approval of that overage.
Sure.
And we calculated it, and I want to set a specific limit, you know, and then audit, you know, we're gonna pre-approve, they're not gonna reset pavers until we approve what the distance back is, so that they don't have money if they just use it because they got it. So that's
Good idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's, to change the stormwater, I did not have a project fund for next year. We've been considering a pump station at 9th Street, but it's not, it's only been to the point of getting an estimate, see if we want to move forward with the design. It was a request of, remember, Charlie Elliott, I always get the names backwards, to have it in our, you know, but that's still a decision to move forward.
Yeah,
Like,
what do you do?
we probably want to do a bid, but then
Where
that's
does
the real
it pump,
decision.
where do we pump it to?
It pumps out to the swale on a force line at a high point because it's under pressure. And it'll be good all the way to the point that flood, if it moves it higher than the street level and overflows, then, and we made that clear, that it's to prevent the nuisance flooding. It's a very flat street,
Yeah.
and it's similar problem on 8th, but they thought 9th is a place to test this or look into it.
Now, if it comes over the seawall, that's a different issue.
It is, and
Yeah.
by no means do we want
It's
any
for-
resident to believe that somehow
It's gonna be
it's
They're
going
an
to
island
prevent
up
flooding,
there.
because you'd be surprised at how many residents call me angry
Yeah.
when we get storms saying that it's the city's fault because our stormwater system is supposed to prevent flooding, and that's not true. Stormwater infrastructure in a flood zone.
Not with what we have. Yeah.
Go to,
Yeah,
So I always try to be realistic.
Right, but
is
I'm
it
thinking.
go to
pumps.
Shore Acres?
Shore Acres, yeah.
Yeah. They got a big program that they're gonna start
Yeah, it's
with valves and pumps.
Yeah.
And I know St. Pete Beach is also looking seriously into pump stations. But
No, I think-
nobody in this area has done it. It's been done on the East Coast in different
I think
scenarios.
it's a good thing for exercise you to look at, since there's
Yeah.
nothing done. I mean, the city council can approve a budget item mid-year with
Right.
the reserves that we've got.
Right. But to be further looked into.
Yeah, but people need to understand it may or may not be a solution, that they're expecting.
Right. Last fund is the Marina Fund. Again, this is similar to the Stormwater Fund and the Capital Fund, this, you know, the revenue, but different from the capital, I should say, and the Stormwater, in that it's an enterprise fund that we can take the extra revenue income that we make and we can transfer it back into the general fund. The typical we get with our increase, we set an increase schedule in 2020 that increased, I want to say in 20, it just increased in 23, and then the final, if I got it right, I'd have to just to fact check it, but there's one more increase of $1 per. Right now, we're currently at $9 per foot for residents, and we're at 13 per foot for non-residents. The last increase, which I think is 2025, April 1st, is going to be an additional $1 for residents, to be $10 per square or per linear foot, and then $15 for non-resident linear foot. So that will increase us a little bit more to what we're seeing right now from slip rental.
And who
And right now with the current-
maintains the lifts?
They do. We kept it that way. It's often been pointed out every time a marina discussion comes up, is comparing marinas, because marinas services tend to vary a lot in
They do.
different areas. And
Yeah, and
what we really needed to do the last time we looked at it, we made an adjustment in administrative policy that how the wait list works, and, you know, getting on it, staying on it. And we really had to decide what we want the marina for. If its goal was to make as much money as possible, or if its goal was to be there for the residents as an amenity for people who don't have access to water. And that's where we ended up, so that's what the decision making was for.
Boat slip number 1, not used,
Not
because
used.
I'm not a boater, so.
It's a very small slip, and at some point, it was decided because of the county outfall, I don't have exact history on it.
Okay, it's just not used.
That they decided it wasn't gonna be rented. It comes in handy, we've used it with the rental boat,
Sure,
to pull up a boat, but
sure.
it,
okay.
yeah, it's
All
not
right.
his. And that's all I got. And then, if you have specific questions.
So this year, not having capital projects to fund like we've had prior years, so we're creating kind of
We're building.
an excess that we're gonna replenish.
And that's something that I think that this committee should start looking at and make a recommendation, you know, about consideration for paying off principal, based on our revenue growth, you know, our reserve growth.
So, you know, it may or may not be a good exercise. This building loan matures in '26.
Yeah.
So we've got 1 year left, what, 40 grand? Or is it 60?
I think it's 60, I gotta check the numbers.
What's the percent?
So we're probably in the money to where.
Oh, now, okay.
Where before there was a prepayment penalty, so now there's probably not a prepayment penalty. So if we just wanted to go ahead and.
I would hope, but there could be a minor one, but it's something we should find out.
It's tied, I want to say the rate was in a 4% range,
Oh, that's great.
like a 4% treasury range, which is where the treasury is today. So, because even a 2-year treasury is 4.40. So, all right, no, that could be something, you know, I mean, so we've got, it looks like we've got a lot of our fund balances are gonna be fully funded in the next 3-4 years.
Yes.
So that could be a good strategy for us to look at.
Yeah, that was the original consideration.
Fund balances and whatnot down the road. So I could add that as general business future discussion.
Yeah. And I'll get information, what everything we're at.
And overall, the council, knowing that we're funding back to increasing reserves,
Yeah,
I would
Well,
have anticipated one potential council member to do the rollback rate and,
well, the one council member has done a request, originally it was full rollback, then it went to about like meeting halfway. And this is the first year that the entire council agreed to stay with the millage that we've had since
Yeah.
like 2012.
Yeah.
So I thought that was optimistic that we were all in agreement on that with the recommendation, because I think it's good, like I said, we're not just spending money because it's there. But having reserves, especially when we have a loan that we could pay off earlier, is a good thing, because
Yeah.
there's saving money involved.
so the other one is, I know there's no prepayment on the one we did with South State.
There was no prepayment.
We,
no,
I
we
made sure
there
we
was a-
negotiated that. so,
Yes. Yeah, I remember that was
That's the
key.
stormwater.
Right.
Because we always plan
That's-
a prepayment if possible.
Yeah.
So, anybody have any other questions on the?
No?
We want to
Great-
make a
great
make a
work,
motion
thanks.
to approve the budget.
Good.
So moved.
And I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So that passes. We've got new business. We'll get together to discuss the fund balance, reserves, and consideration of debt repayment. And anything else?
No?
All right. Can you get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So I got 5:59.
Yes.
Okay.